A lot of times when we lose in tag shooters, we can't help but feel a little salty. Maybe we think that the enemy's team comp countered ours.
Yo, chat, no flashes is crazy.
Or that they got really good timings.
Oh my god, chat! Oh my god!
Or even that the strategies they used were just a little bit weird.
Okay.
Well, that's it. They were a little less focused on that close corner because you know most of the players are going to be on an eco, and that all.
Ew.
But one thing we probably don't think was that the game itself favored the enemy team over us. But honestly, it might have.
Chat! I'm on his head. Check the VOD. Check the VOD. Wait, did I miss?
In many tactical shooters, there's a mechanic called first bullet inaccuracy, which varies depending on which gun you're holding. If your bullet is very likely to land where you aimed it, that's low inaccuracy. And if your bullet has a good chance of landing far from where you aimed it, that's high inaccuracy. It's the reason why a shot like this has a good chance of missing the target, while a shot like this is guaranteed to hit it. And on the surface at least, this actually makes a good bit of sense. Like I said before, we're playing a tag shooter. So it makes sense that the player with a more accurate shot has the advantage, and consequently, removing the spread would discourage players from refining their aim. Still, what happens when you take a game so clearly designed with the competitive player in mind and shove luck into it?
Chill. Okay.
Well, let's see. The Stinger in Valorant is your typical SMG-like weapon, great for overwhelming your opponent at close ranges but still getting beaten out by the more expensive assault rifles at range. But before we consider first bullet inaccuracy, it might be hard to understand why the Stinger is at such a massive disadvantage at range. If you consider its high damage potential, its predictable burst angle, and its high headshot multiplier, it starts to look like a pretty good gun at range. However, given that it has the highest ADS to first shot inaccuracy of any gun in the game that's not a machine gun, it's a pretty crap ranged weapon. But I mean, it can still commit war crimes. Anyway, coupled with all of your other gun stats, having to also factor in first bullet inaccuracy into your in-game decisions increases the depth of the game. And whether you like it or not, no gun was designed to be used at every range. Yes, even the Vandal and the Phantom. And just a reminder, when you're even at the range where first bullet inaccuracy is relevant, you'll be tapping, making it one of the most important stats on any gun you buy. To use another example, if I was in a 1v1 post plant on B-side Pearl, and I knew that the enemy had a Guardian while I had a Vandal, I should play a Pillar instead of playing top ramp. Why? Well, for those of you who play Valorant, you'll know that the Guardian has a superior scope magnification to the Vandal. Not only that, but it has zero first bullet inaccuracy. Therefore, playing a closer angle just makes sense. If I don't, this might happen. Bro, what? Or this. Like, what do I even do, bro? Or even this. Bro, how does he know I'm there? And while we have to do a little brain work for that scenario, it still doesn't take into account enemy utility, bomb time, or even your HPs. See where I'm going with this? It's not so much that first bullet inaccuracy is everything, but rather that it is something. And when you have 20 to 30 somethings to consider at any given time, it certainly adds to the depth of the game. Still, first bullet inaccuracy affects not only the cognitive side, but also the mechanical side of a shooter as well. Not only do players need to aim for the header body, but they need to aim for the center of mass of the header body, rewarding players who have practiced their micro adjustments, especially in tandem with their movement. Still, even if first bullet inaccuracy gives Valorant more depth, this is meaningless if it harms the overall design of the game. And Valorant is no stranger to bad game design. From a game design perspective, first bullet inaccuracy is a beautifully designed mechanic. When developers are crafting a game, they usually have a certain vision in mind for the tools that they give to the players.
Project A is our character-based tactical shooter. It's competitive. It has precise gunplay.
Still, players don't like to be outright told what to do.
Enemy kill.
What?
Wait,
what?
Oh my god!
wait.
So how do they get around this? Well, think to any single player game you've played with bosses. If you don't optimize your combat, you will die. No! Die. and die again. Instead of just outright telling you optimal strategies for combat, Hollow Knight gives you the tools and then the challenges to mold you into a better player, with more understanding of the game. I mean, how ridiculous would it be if a pop-up came up every time you needed to dodge? What? And because the game gives you a chance to figure out right from wrong, beating these bosses can bring on such a sense of accomplishment. Now, would that be as satisfying if you weren't given the same freedoms? Almost certainly not. And the same philosophy is behind first bullet inaccuracy. For example, take a look at a shot like this. Despite being dead center on their head, you just miss. In my opinion, it's a subtle way for the developer to tell you that they don't want you to take a fight from that range with a Spectre, regardless of how dead on your shot may be. But even if players should not take a fight with the Spectre from 50 meters, they should still be able to take one. And eventually, when you take one, you'll realize that you much prefer keeping to close ranges with the weapon. So similarly to Hollow Knight, Valorant has forced you to evolve as a player, instead of just choosing a different method of game balance that takes the onus off the player. And this follows a larger pattern of game designers discouraging unintended actions instead of restricting them. Now sure, we can argue about whether the developer's vision is right, and don't get me wrong, all game developers have made a lot of mistakes.
One enemy remaining.
Still, I'm not sure if this is one of them. Not only does it utilize core principles of game design to nuance balance, but it also makes the game, in my opinion, much more exciting. And with that small illusion, we've come to the most important section, enjoyability.
120. I shouldn't have sprayed for sure.
It doesn't matter whether you think the feature adds more or less skill to the game. There is no denying that it adds something special and electrifying to it. If you get lasered cross map by a classic, you know that you really got owned. Did the other person get a little lucky? 100%. But these rare moments where skill meets luck are some of the most memorable moments you'll have during a play session, and are one of the crucial elements that keeps each play session fun and unique.
Knows where the opposition is. He's sticking it! What an insane play from Enzo! Ice cold! Doing what Boaster could.
I mean, there's a reason why we all like watching an opera get 1D'd. It breaks our expectations and overall makes the game much more fun to play and to watch. The small con of the player who deserved to win the fight losing, which in my opinion happens very infrequently, is insignificant in comparison to all the good that first bullet inaccuracy brings to the game. So to answer the biggest question, do I think this feature is competitive? Yeah, I do. When done carefully and in moderation, it's honestly genius. Still, one small con is a con nonetheless. And that made me wonder, is there any better way to do things? Well, maybe. 2 years ago, before I started making videos about drugs, a Valorant YouTuber named Archmeton made a video on this very subject, and I thought his suggestions were both reasonable and a bit flawed. To paraphrase, he suggests that either the first bullets of a gun's magazine or all tap-fired shots have no inaccuracy. In my opinion, the first solution would encourage more reloading, and therefore more boring and slower paced gameplay, especially considering how many abilities you have to shoot in this game already. I mean, consider something like this. You happen to be by yourself and you want to push into B-side Pearl. Right as you're about to crouch pretty deep into it, an enemy peeks and uses some sort of utility that you have to shoot, and you do shoot it. At this point, whatever 100% accurate bullets you had are gone, and the only way to get them back is to disengage and reload, and most times, even without this change, you would probably disengage here. But what if you know the current state of the map and know that you need to push now or never? What if you know that the enemy's utility isn't particularly strong against those out in the open? What if time is low and you simply have to go in? Would you push in, even when they have a reloaded, accurate gun, and you don't? Would you risk your life on a fight that is most likely slightly unfavorable? Probably not. So the game slows down, utility becomes more important, and people complain more and more about the dwindling role of gunplay in the game. We started here, trying to make precise gunplay a bigger aspect of the game, and we just did the complete opposite. Even considering the other solution, with full accuracy on tapfire, things don't get much easier. Obviously, giving it to things like the Ares and Odin would be insane, so what do? Do we limit it to the Vandal and the Phantom? If so, we're kind of encroaching on the already small rule of the Guardian. So what happens to it? Do we include pistols like the Ghost, Sheriff, and the Classic? How do we do this without making ecos more likely than they already are, especially in Valorant, which is known for its eco round volatility? I mean, at this point, we're just doing a medium to large overhaul of the buy menu, which is interesting on its own, but is probably not the biggest priority. And I just don't think people would find getting lasered by classics very tolerable for any more than a week, if that. I mean, maybe if Valorant shifted towards more open and long range fights, increasing the prevalence of places like B Long Pearl, C Long Haven, A Long Haven, and basically all of Breeze, maybe we could reopen the conversation, since the variance caused by first bullet inaccuracy rises. Though I still don't think it's so bad that certain guns are just worse on certain maps. All that really does is just put more onus on the players to adapt. And honestly, isn't that what it's all about?
We can really take in adjustments. Round Goodness me, man! What is that finish?
But what do you think about first bullet inaccuracy? If you still have some arguments for or against it, I'd love to hear them in the comments. If you liked the video and think other people would enjoy it, a like would help push this content to more people. Also, if you want to see more of my content in the future, remember to subscribe and you won't miss it. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.